Having a barbecue or a cookout, it can be stressful. It really can, because whether people say it or not, I think we all understand we're being judged by the food we serve, right? And so most people go all out, marinate 24 hours before, get the good dogs, maybe some steak, some ribs, and you tend to overserve because you don't want to underserve when it's a direct reflection on you, your food, in your crib, right? Now, in contrast to that, you ever been to a potluck? You ever been to a potluck? I know you've been to a work potluck. Those are the worst, right? Someone's like, hey, I'll bring cups. Someone else brings bagged cookies, right? And what happens inevitably is no one actually feels responsible for the food, and you end up without a main dish, and it's just a bunch of snacks. And that's what Team USA is. It's a potluck. Everyone thinks they just got to bring a little something, and then we end up without a main dish, right? The point is that these players, I think it's very hard for them to take full responsibility as if it's their team, because it's not. I know we can talk about patriotism, but I think that there is a detachment underneath all this, and we end up with a potluck. No one's bringing the main dish. No one's bringing it. They're all waiting for someone else to do it, except for, well, LeBron, right? I think we're seeing the alpha omega that LeBron is. He does feel responsibility for this team because he's big bro to all of them. Never mind the age difference. You can see it, right? And it makes sense because LeBron's probably never played on a team where he didn't feel that responsibility. The reality is, if this team does go down, it's going to fall on four people: LeBron, Steph, KD, and Kerr. Now, you notice I listed Kerr last here, and I think a lot of people are going to want to blame Kerr first if they don't get this done. And after that scare against South Sudan, what was it, Saturday morning, Germany, another close one, we got the Kerr quotes, the quotes that Dub Nation is all too familiar with. Essentially, I didn't have my guys prepared. I got to do a better job. Not something you want to hear often out of your head coach, right? But if you pay attention, Dub Nation, we know this to be true. Steve Kerr has never been a motivator. He's a moderator. He's very good at juggling egos and creating chemistry. He's never been a go win one for the Gipper type of coach, in part because Steph, Clay, self-driven players, and Draymond may be the greatest on-court motivator of this generation. So it was built in. He didn't have to be the motivator, right? And on this team, I think the motivators have to be LeBron, Steph, and KD. The elder statesmen and the guys where, fair or not, if they do go down, it's going to taint their legacies. No one's going to think back and say, oh, Ant didn't get this done. Tatum didn't get this done. No. It's going to be on LeBron. It's going to be on Steph, KD, and Steve. And LeBron, I think, can sense that. Steph probably as well. KD, he's doing what he's done for most of his career, watching LeBron and Steph take care of business. All right. Maybe that was a low blow. No, hopefully he's all right, right? I think the calf strain thing, obviously going back to 19, is a spooky thing when it comes to his body and his build. Obviously, if he ends up not playing, then, he's not part of this. Now, the other element that people are very aware of is the rotation, right? Someone's going to be left out. Joel Embiid has stuck out like a sore thumb, I said from day one, and he doesn't look any better to me. I don't know how long they can afford to roll with Embiid, especially in that drop coverage, because we'll talk about the strategy against Team USA here in a minute, but it's very obvious that drop coverage is getting eaten up. So Joel, obviously still the elephant in the room, but I think the other aspect of this has been, before this all started, Ant was kind of anointed, right? And he said it himself. Get careful what you say. Don't write checks you can't cash, right? But Ant was like, I got to be the man. Me and KD, I'm the man. And so he's put that pressure on himself. And I think despite him not starting, he's playing a lot of minutes. You can see that. And I'm not sure that Anthony Edwards is ready to be the man on this stage and in this setting. The game is different, right? And he's over dribbling. And he's taking tough shots. He's shooting too much. I guess no one's really shooting too much relative to their NBA amount of attempts, right? But One shot that I think he needs to realize or recognize is he has that bank shot, that glass shot that's very nice, a throwback, but it's not like Tim Duncan. It's not like he's like standing still, he pivots and turns and hits it, right? He gets it coming downhill. Now, when he shoots that coming downhill on the right side of the floor, that's such a more difficult shot than on the left side. Hoopers, next time you're on the court, try that. If you're a right-handed shooter, it'll be vice versa if you're a lefty. If you're a right-handed shooter, drive on the left side, the left wing, and pull up and use glass, right? Now, try it on the right side. And the fact that your shooting hand goes from the inside to the outside, depending on what side of the floor you're on, it drastically changes the angle of playing the glass and how easy it is to do. And I've noticed that with Ant, but he's just over dribbling. He's pressing a little bit. I don't love his shot selection. I am curious to see what it would look like with more Tyrese Halliburton in there. Now, I don't expect us to get it. He's been DNP'd, right? But he honestly is maybe the only pass-first player on this team, if we're being truly honest. Bam Adebayo could probably have an argument for that, but he's the only pass-first guy, and I would just be curious to see what it would be for him to set the table and try to get all the other weapons going. But I think we're going to see less and less Ant, and I think we're going to see more and more Derek White. And I don't say that as a bad thing. If they got to do what they got to do to win these games. And the reality is Derek White is a far superior utility connector as opposed to putting Devin Booker or Anthony Edwards in that role. And we know that he's a much better defender at this point. So I think we're going to see more Derek White. Again, where does KD fit into all this? The downfall could be the obligation to Embiid and KD. If they're going to start Embiid and play him heavier minutes, or again, relative to the Olympics, and lean on him, as well as we owe KD to be able to just step in right away and take someone's minutes, that could be tough. You wonder if a little element is Kerr feeling like he owes it to KD for the way things went down in 19. There's human elements to all this. But yeah, I think we're going to see less Ant, probably less Book, more Derek White. As far as Steph goes, the Steph LeBron thing has been fun. And who closes is as good as LeBron has been down the stretch. And I didn't see the games live. I was like, yo, are they just clearing out and letting LeBron do his thing? Is it just by design? And then you watch and you're like, no, it wasn't by design. LeBron had to step up late in these games, and he and Steph in the two-man game. Steph's been a little careless with the ball, some behind the back, just who he is. We know who he is in crunch time. As blasphemous as this to say as a Warriors fan, you know it to be true. He's not the most secure with the ball, right? And so I don't know if it's always going to be LeBron as that closer. He's been playing bully ball. You go up against France or one of these teams with actual size at the rim. I don't know if that's effective. So I don't think that can just be the clear out and let LeBron work no matter what in crunch time. I think they have to remain dynamic with that. And Steph, he's going to hit some big shots. I'm not trying to diss Steph. I think you also know Dennis Schroeder has been a thorn in Steph's side for a long time. NBA-wise, matchup-wise, on a night-to-night basis, wherever Schroeder's at, when he plays Steph, for whatever reason, the quickness, the style of play, he's able to stay attached to him and bother him. And then offensively, that start and stop is just tough. But I must admit, I don't love seeing Steph being attacked and having to work that hard defensively at this point. But I feel like a lot of fan bases probably feel that way about their elder players. If you're a Laker fan, you got to be nervous about AD and LeBron using so much juice to compete in these games. And that's the other element that you can kind of tie into the potluck analogy here with LeBron, AD, Steph, Embiid. Most of these guys, I think that there is an element of, hey, I'm not trying to get chipped up. I'm not trying to get hurt on, say what you want. I'm prideful for my country. I'm older. I don't want to get hurt. In contrast, we know that this is the Super Bowl for these other countries and these players where they're going to go all out. They're going to sell their body out every minute on the floor. And it's hard to match that urgency when you're a Steph, when you're a LeBron, as far as not just your age, but again, in the back of their mind, I want to be healthy when the NBA season starts. So there's that. And that's been true since the original Dream Team. That's something that's just been advantage rest of the world, right? But talking about modern basketball, what have we learned in the last 5 years in this 3-ball era in the NBA? The talent gap can be closed on any given night in any given game by that 3-point line. And that's what South Sudan did, right? They hit so many threes, but it wasn't just that they were hitting threes, it was the style. It was movement threes, off handoffs, coming down in transition, right? They were pulling so many threes and making them. And that's the strategy that these teams are going to come into against US. Hey, our chance to win is we've got to be prolific and win the 3-point line. So we're going to be ultra aggressive. Plus, we really have nothing to lose because we're not supposed to win. And that's a perfect recipe for a team like South Sudan to come in and knock all those threes down. You had the other element from them, literally getting it from the mud, no Gilbert Arenas, but athletically, when you look at the brothers from South Sudan, they're built for basketball, right? So there wasn't this like athletic gap that you see with these other teams, and then they're hitting a bunch of threes, and it became spooky quick. And that's going to be the blueprint. And another reason why you can't play Joel Embiid, right? He is the one guy that they're playing drop coverage with defensively, and we're getting roasted off of it. And so, hey, none of these games are official yet. Maybe all of a sudden Embiid is not playing much once it matters here. When is it? Sunday is the first game. I will be covering all these games on my Patreon. Link will be in the description. Ultimately, the pressure falls on those 4 players. Unless KD doesn't play, then he's obviously out of the mix. And he's really the last of that equation at this point here. But LeBron, Steph, they have to be the motivators and set the tone. And say what they could say all they want, the flag bearer and the pride. I mean, there's no doubt they do have pride, but there's levels to it, right? It's all relative. Do they have the same pride as Germany does with the Wagner brothers and Schroeder? I don't think so. No, they don't. That's just how it is, right? But they're going to have to be the motivators because Kerr's not going to be. And then I think we have to cross our fingers that Kerr doesn't feel obligated to Joel and KD to play when it matters in these games. So it's interesting to see Steph and LeBron at this phase in their careers have to team up and take responsibility for this team, as it should be. It's going to be fun. It's been a while since I've been this intrigued, not just about basketball in the Olympics, but watching the Netflix, the sprint thing and all that. It's usually this period of time for us basketball heads and sports fans, it's the dry spell. And so I think we're all excited to see this play out. And I'm also curious to see what my patriotism is like, because I will admit there is a part of me that would it not be a lot of drama for them to go down, right? There's a part of a lot of us, I think, that want to see that. But then if it actually is happening in the moment, I don't know how I feel about it, especially with Steph and Steve being connected to it. But it's got to play out, right? And they've got to find a better way to defend the 3-ball and figure out the big man rotation. As always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.